Hello everyone, it's December, the year is coming to a close, and that means yet another exclusive method tutorial to make it 12 this year. In this one we will be tackling the Schnitte or slices, and I really enjoyed this one. It's just a universal nope action that instantly stops your opponents in their tracks. This particular Hauptstück is quite simple, with only 4 pieces in it, and as such it is more about the general principle. Using the strong of your knife to make a sort of stop hit to shut down any attempt by your opponent to cut at you. In classical and more traditional approaches of Olympic fencing, a stop hit is a hit landed to interrupt an attack by the opponent. Usually this is done with the point or the weak of the weapon. Messer has examples of this, but the nice and pretty unique thing about the Schnitte is that you do this with the strong of your knife, getting quite close in order to control the opponent's weapon arm. Of course, you have to keep in mind this is not necessarily a hit that finishes a fight. It just shuts down your opponent's intention and sets you up for a really nice follow-up from there. There are 4 different versions, with each their own use, but they all share some characteristics as well. Let's first look at the particularities and then talk a bit more about what you should always be keeping in mind for these slices. The first 2, the slices from above, work against cuts from a bind. Many opponents will try to leave a bind and cut around. It's a natural thing to do and it works well a lot of the time. Unless you on the receiving end have been applying solid pressure towards your opponent. In that case, if they cut around, they have played themselves. Because then it's just a simple matter of going from one low-hanging position to the other, putting your strong in the way of their wrist. Now this is how things work when doing this against the cut towards your dominant side where you are strongest. When your opponent cuts to your other side, like Schnitte tells you to use the short edge. I think this has something to do with the fact that you then not need to turn your elbow in for this technique to work, as opposed to when you would when using the long edge. That means it's just easier to use your full body for this movement, which makes it work better. I personally quite like it like this. Now if your partner tries to run in close and raise up the bind, you can do the lower slices. This situation occurs when your partner misjudges distance and comes in really close, and as it happens often in competitive fencing. Alternatively, they may have designs of pushing up the bind and then cutting in with an Entrustau from below. Both can lead to really difficult situations. Now you can of course solve this with Durchlaufen, but not everyone may prefer this option, so the Unterschnitt is a good alternative. You pretty much just cut an Entrustau into your opponent's wrist and push upwards from there. Here it is really relevant which side of your body you have in front. If you have the left in front, or if they run into your left side as the book calls it, you cut the Entrustau from the left side. If your right side is in front, you guessed it, the Entrustau comes from your right. These are the different particularities of the 4 Schnitte. But what about the characteristic that they all share? Well, there are a few things you should always be keeping in mind when doing a Schnitt, and they revolve around structure and distance. It really shows that the Schnitte are quintessential Messer techniques, as you need to be close and do them with the whole body, otherwise they're quite worthless. To make sure you have the right structure, let's first imagine doing push-ups. If I do them straight down from my sternum with my body weight divided over both my arms, they go relatively well. The further I move off to one side though, in order to do archer push-ups for example, the harder things get. And if I move my body weight all the way to the side over my right arm, well, I fall onto my face. So when you need to apply a lot of pressure and force through your messer, I think you should try to push from your sternum forwards as much as possible. This often means turning the face towards the direction of the arm that you're going to be slicing. Next we have distance. This sort of technique only works when you are close enough. I often find that people just feel profoundly uncomfortable at the distance at which messer fencing actually works well. And if you want to do things well, there's nothing else for it but making yourself feel a bit more comfortable in that distance. What I find that helps sometimes is doing exercises or even free fencing with your rear foot against the wall. Taking away your ability to retreat will help you stay at the right distance to perform certain actions, and it will in the long run also make you feel more comfortable at such distances. So, I think that's a wrap for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and its exercises. The other stuff I'll be making over the next few weeks might end up being released in the new year, so I'll just take this opportunity to thank you all for your support over the last year, and to wish you happy holidays, of course. Until the next one. Bye.